So what is going on? So we got three in the building. Thanks for tapping in. How was the audio? Is the audio clear? If the audio is clear, can you please press one? Want to make sure that I'm not coming in with any static or anything before we get it going. Oh yeah. Also, I'm just taking a moment to share this live out to my social media. So give me a moment. I'll be right with you. Definitely want to get into the topic tonight. As you can see, the topic is all the smoke for Kevin Samuels. Why, oh why? Why is this man hated so much? And I'm in no means, by no means, or by any stretch of the imagination, a Kevin Samuels disciple. Um, Somebody who, like you all, if you were familiar with him, was brought to his attention, brought to my attention on social media. Um, Not to say that I didn't agree with his message or agreed with a lot of his message, but again, not a disciple, but definitely appreciated the brother for having the courage, the tenacity, um, to stick with the message that he had, which was very unpopular. Thanks for tapping in, Bad Seed. I see you. And he said because he said things people did not want to hear. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I understand that. I understand when somebody has an opinion that doesn't align with your values, with your perspective. You may have a dislike for that person, or that person may not be your most favorite person in the world. But in the light of a person meeting an untimely, or what we like to call an untimely demise, and then to see all of the rhetoric, and we're gonna probably go on Twitter at some point and take a look at some of the very mean tweets. And I suspect that some of these people who are tweeting this vitriol might be from the same camp of people who were offended by Donald Trump's tweets. since his tweets were so mean and callous. But to wish a man dead, I think that that's another level to the game. Don't you agree? I think that's taking things a little bit too far. Put my headset on. And I want to kick it off really quickly. I have a video interaction with Kevin Samuels and a young lady. I'm not sure what her name is, but I wanted to share this with you all. Just to, if you're not familiar with Kevin Samuels, this might be a good introduction for you. So I'm going to let this play. And too much going on. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this.
The spotlight, and you put pressure on them to kind of answer your questions and prove their value. I feel that you should also put Black men on the same type of pressure, because the same thing that you say about, women not presenting themselves properly, and it's the same way we are saying that Black men are not presenting themselves to us.
My turn. Okay. Ma'am, how old are you again?
I'm 30.
My platform is one. Have Black men been critiqued enough?
I understand that. Yes,
No, I'm asking.
yes,
Have Black men been critiqued?
yes, they've been critiqued.
Okay, right. So are you asking me for balance?
Not really a balance. Maybe you don't even have to do it enough. I just feel like you're the spokesperson for them. I would like to hear them speak for themselves more, because
They can't.
why can't they?
They've been speaking, excuse me, they've been speaking in their houses, in their lives, excuse me, don't shake your head. Black men have been speaking for my entire lifetime. Y'all aren't listening. Black men, where do you think I learned all this stuff from? Listening to, listen. They can't. They do, where can Black men speak freely without being shouted down?
Well, this is what right?
No, answer my question first, then move on. Where can Black men speak freely without being shouted down?
Well, they can speak to us.
Where?
When we on dates, to talk to them instead of upfront about who they.
On dates.
Yes, on dates.
Man, you're not even being real. Okay, let me be more clear.
Mm-hmm.
What platforms or institutions can a Black man speak without being shouted down?
Maybe your platform. You can have them speak.
Ma'am.
Right now.
This is, okay. So me, I'm supposed to build my business, my platform, and then make it to where.
And again, I just want to share this is a typical interaction with Kevin Samuels and some of the ladies, or one of the ladies who voluntarily joined his live. to have this discussion, to have this back and forth, and they kind of know what they're signing up for. They're here to chop up some game, get some game from Kevin, maybe throw some landmines at him, try to trip him up, or get him agitated. And remember, like I said in my last live, keep in mind that there's going to be a certain amount of theatrical or theatrics or drama added to these broadcasts for entertainment purposes. You don't get to have over 1 million subscribers and not be entertaining, not be thought provoking, not be engaging in some way or fashion. In his way was to verbally joust with these women and to sort of knock down some of the unrealistic ideas or expectations he felt that they might have had, considering their particular position. So again, this is a typical dialogue or interaction between Kevin Samuels and a young lady who willingly subjected herself to his critique, if you will, or his instruction. So let's dive back in.
See, I want you to understand, you've already answered the question.
And hit that like button if you hear. If this is your first time on the channel, please subscribe. You can definitely join the channel. There are perks to becoming a member. Look in the description area. You should see some options on joining the channel. But definitely like this channel, like this video. Costs you nothing. Share this out to your social medias. I would really appreciate it.
There is no place. If they got to come to my platform, that means there's not a place where Black men can go. And that's exactly what I said earlier. They can't. Do you get that?
I get that. That's what it's because I agree with why I feel that they should be given a chance to.
Given a chance by who?
Because you're those
given a chance by whom? Me?
Well, but I'm trying to say why I'm saying that, Kevin. Please try to
No, I'm saying they should be given a chance by whom? Whom?
Well, you're saying there's nowhere for.
No, who should give them a chance is what I'm asking.
We're willing to give a chance right now.
Whom, ma'am? Okay, I'm asking you. I said, where? You said Black men should be able to speak. I said they can't. Then I asked you, where should they go? You said they can do it. Where can they go without being shot down? First thing you said is on a date. That's crazy. Then I said, what businesses or institutions or platforms? You said on yours. Out of the whole global world, you expect all the Black men to converge onto one platform. Do you see a problem with that? But hold on. I want you to listen. Where can Black women go to speak their concerns?
I don't think Black women are speaking their concerns.
You don't think Black women have platforms to speak their concerns?
Not really. I feel like right now I'm speaking my concern, and I feel
Madame Noir, Essence, Ebony, Grapevine, Bossip, Onsite.
That's not.
No, excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. Are you serious? Black women's concerns are magnified and amplified. And see, this is the problem. You got it.
And to this point, the young lady seems dumbfounded. She doesn't, or she just doesn't, want to go along with where he's leading her. She doesn't want to admit that. Women have a lot of empowerment. Women are empowered these days. They're empowered to express themselves, and their platforms to do so are many. And I think that's just what he's getting at. Where is the arena? Where is where's the stage for Black men to present their opinions, their perspectives? There are few and far in between. Very marginal. We've been pretty much pushed to the margins when it comes to the area of public thought, and that's in the media, that's in academia, that's in politics. Damn near every level. the workplace, professionally, men are being made a target, and in my opinion, are being purposefully, muted in favor of a purely a more woman-centered um, point of view or perspective.
One man with one voice. And I want you to understand that black women are so brittle and so sensitive to where they can't tolerate one place. And then I'm supposed to build this up. Then I'm supposed to say, come on over, millions of black men. Well, how about this? If you want to hear black men's concerns, I'll tell you how we do it. What you do is you go and you work with, petition, and convince black women to give their platforms over to black men. You go tell the black women who command the public square, all right, we've had our say. It's
Sean Wade, thanks for tapping in. Be more in the building. Be more careful.
in November is International Men's Month. In all of November, we're going to just turn our platforms over to black men. See how many black women would let that happen.
I understand all the things that you're saying, and as you get into your point of view, but I feel like maybe we're losing the meaning of what both are saying. What I'm trying to say, I'm happy that and you are a spokesperson for black men. But all I'm saying, maybe you can do one episode where you question black men, but you question black women. That's
What? Question black men. I did that for 3 years. That's what I did the first 3 years.
And this is another point or another aspect of Kevin Samuels' platform that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of the women coming with so much smoke for him because he has a critique geared towards or focused on black women. He has a critique, focused on black women, but as he stated, he began the dialogue with black men and telling, black men how to be better versions of themselves. As he stated right here, for the first 3 years that he was on social media. So it's a common misconception is that he only focuses on women.
and they have proven
That was what I did the first 3 years.
Crickets.
Who listened?
maybe I have to.
Who listened? Who listened? The first 3 years I talked with men. Who listened?
I've been with you for a whole year now.
Ma'am, please. I did that for 3 years. Who listened?
I'm willing to listen.
I asked you, who listened? Answer that question.
I'm not sure who listened because I didn't there at the time.
Right. How did you get here?
I got here because
I started talking to women. And then the world listened.
Okay, I get it now.
So, once again, You know, the brother says when he was speaking to black men, he didn't get any traction at all. Nobody listened. But as soon as he turned his attention to black women, then the world listened, and particularly because he was speaking a perspective that's not very popular, and he was criticizing black women. He was checking black women. And you know, black women, you can't check a black woman these days. Who gonna check me, boo? That's what she said years ago, and that, you know, that still echoes throughout the culture. Who gonna check me, boo? You know, that kind of became black women's public position to all opposition. Who's gonna check me? And that's pretty much what it is. And if you try, we'll dance on your grave. Bad Seed says, if people watch his posts, he was pointing out flaws in men and women so people could see the damage they were actually doing to each other. Absolutely. You know, I think he just was trying to let people, you know, start from a perspective that was realistic. You know, if they had delusions of grandeur, not to say that you can't dream big, but when you're trying to accomplish goals, I think he was just trying to direct people to a more pragmatic and practical approach. Because we're all so influenced by social media, the materialism, the aspirational pull of social media. When we see what other people are doing in their lives, and the grass looks so much greener on the other side, people are, you know, constantly catching flights and not feelings. It can make you kind of turn around and look at what you have going on and make you feel like it's not enough. And you can begin to pursue your goals in a fashion that's irrational, illogical, and in the end, that could end up doing damage to you and to those around you. So, you know, being realistic, you know, there's something to be said for being realistic. You know, as you chase your dreams, as you chase your goals, you know, it's levels. And I think that a lot of times people try to skip, you know, the fundamentals and get right into the thick of it, so to speak. You know, you have to crawl before you walk. Then you have to walk before you run. So yeah, I wanted to share that. And I also wanted to talk about, because, you know, right now the speculation, I'm looking around on social media, and now there's so many various stories that it may have involved cocaine laced with fentanyl. That the young lady who he was with, and her pictures making the rounds on social media, that it might not be her. It might be somebody clout chasing. But you know, Red Bull and Viagra. And I can, you know, assume that too much of either of those things is probably a bad, you know, bad for you. But, you know, I'm not sure if Red Bull or Viagra was involved, or if fentanyl laced cocaine was involved. You know, like I said, we like to speak of untimely deaths. But one thing for sure is that we're all going to get in that grave at some point in time. And we don't know when that time is. So to say that death is untimely, it usually, you know, it's bad timing for us. But when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And that's that, you know, that's just what it is. But I also wanted to share a little bit of history about Brother Kevin. We never know. You never know what somebody's condition is, somebody's health outlook is. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they're going through. And I did not know
You had
that Brother Kevin was a cancer survivor.
yeah, that made me
So yeah, I want to share this clip here. I think he was on No Jumper, where he actually talked about it. So let's get into this one.
look at things even more. I'm like, man, maybe you had I recently found out you had stage 3 cancer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that made me look at things even more. I'm like, man, maybe he to the point now, like, I don't care about pleasing nobody.
Well-
I'm gonna tell it how it is.
Well, when I was 21 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And while everybody else was about to graduate from college and go off into live life, I'm looking at my own mortality. So I've always, even though that has one of the highest cure rates, I've always known that we're all on borrowed time. We're all on borrowed time. So I'm like, yeah, through hook or crook, I want to be the best at what I do to try to get the most out of this life that we have, because it's not promised to us. So it's not to do it to make you rich or whatever. It's really because I want to have a life that was being worth lived. So.
And that's something to say about people who've gone through, life-threatening illnesses. They may come to a point where they have no fear of anything that might be able to harm them, especially by way of public opinion. So they may tend to be very unapologetic with their perspectives, as Brother Kevin Samuels was, very unapologetic. But again, the vitriol is what we're talking about. All the smoke for Kevin Samuels. Now, Kevin Samuels is not somebody who has any control over anyone's life outside of his own. Doesn't have any power over anyone, unless the power that you give him. If you listen to his words and you allow his words to affect you in that way, to the point where you have hate in your heart. But this is not a person who has any control over your life in any way. He's not a politician. He doesn't write legislation. He's not your employer. He doesn't sign your paychecks. He's not your landlord. He's not holding your lease over your head, threatening, to evict you. He's not standing outside your home, threatening to do bodily harm. As far as I know, he's done no bodily harm to anyone. Never heard of any allegations of any misconduct, anything domestic or otherwise. So I'm trying to figure out, like, somebody who doesn't have any power now, besides the fact that you don't like his opinion, you don't like his tone, you don't like his approach. What could he have possibly done to some of these people? How could he have hurt them in such a way? To where they actually are dancing on his grave, in a figurative way of speaking. And I want to share this post by Brother T. Hassan Johnson. Let me see. I want to share my screen really quickly. And this brother here sums it up very eloquently. Again, Brother T. Hassan Johnson. This is from his YouTube page, community section. Go follow that brother. T. Hassan Johnson, The Onyx Report, Black Masculinist Studies. A very insightful brother here on YouTube. But I want to read what he wrote on his page. And it starts out, let me make sure I'm not muted. Okay. What's going on, William Hand? The celebrating surrounding this is dark and inhuman. All that man did was have an opinion, and people are smiling like a tyrant was killed. Jesus Christ, the dude was a human being. And you hit it right on the head, William. It's deeper than Kevin Samuels. He's just a messenger. It's the message that they detest. And like I said, I want to share this brother T. Hassan Johnson, what he had to say. So he says, these articles are a damn disgrace. No one mocked Bell Hooks when she died. Google Bell Hooks. No one called her a man hater to any wide degree, despite that she argued that the Central Park Five were likely guilty and low key blamed black manhood for their behavior. No one posted multiple tweets of people ridiculing her when announcing her death. No group celebrated, published think pieces, essays, videos, and news reports where they high fived and bragged about how good life will be now that she's dead. And unlike Samuel's, her works are required reading in universities around the world, and her public career at least 40 years longer. And this also applies to other late feminists such as Maya Angelou. No one did such. Fact is that Kevin's death has been used as an excuse for people to justify their anti-black misandry since the hour it hit social media. It's also being used by some men to virtue signal their sick addiction to female approval, often from some of the very women that have little but contempt for them too. The very ones who interpret any critique as hatred while spewing venom at men, suggesting men treat it as wise counsel to be meditated upon. As for me, I don't disrespect the dead, even if I didn't respect them in life. For Kevin, however, I not only respected him, I appreciated the courage it took to confront his own community and point out the ills he identified in both genders, but especially the gender that has been on the offense of blaming black men for the last 40 years at least. And unlike black men, did so with the support of mainstream media, the academy, and private federal state philanthropic support. In a community socialized to hyper revere and adore the feminine to the degree where they're believed to be above criticism, he held up a mirror to highlight their practices and beliefs about men, only to be hated and scorned for the reflection it laid bare. So many examples of contempt for men in interviews, even from the most wholesome seeming women who, at their base, really only saw men as a resource to be used and not valued. Still, few observe that he spent years critiquing men before the last two analyzing women, and critique men during his last 2 years too. But none of that seems to matter. So, from full notions of bad karma to witchcraft to feminist Christian notions of his death being God's wrath for disrespecting black women, we're at a point where the unchecked contempt for black males in some circles will serve as another black masculinist turn, especially for some men holding on to certain communal ideas of blackness that have been on the decline intraracially for the last few decades. And no, I don't celebrate such. Like with Ice Cube and the Cocktails with Queens interview, many men will be shocked at how much vitriol will be on display that will soon have no obvious connection to Kevin and will be directed at them. The contempt and hatred has been ongoing, but this time, I think the dancing on his grave, as it were, will spark, I think, a response from men that many will not understand and the media will ignore or mischaracterize. It will likely spark a further distancing from those who try to couch their misandry as justified, and through via Kevin fail to realize that they malign the very men that they want. And the only ones who actually value them, despite their low-key contempt for black men and boys. I think that brother hit it right on the head. Whew. Yeah, I think that brother hit it right on the head. It's a lot to unpack there. Brother said, this is the sort of stuff that encourages separatism. This isn't even about sex and dating or hate. I just don't want some woman to viciously murder me. If that means virginity, so be it. I definitely understand where you're coming from, you know. But this is pretty much where we are. As the brother said, what did he say? The fact is that Kevin's death has been used as an excuse for people to justify their anti-black misandry since the hour it hit social media. It's also been used by some men, to virtue signal their sick addiction to female approval. The betas, I call them the bitter black women and the beta men. That was the first video that I dropped on yesterday. It was entitled "Bitter Black Women and Betas." Kevin Samuels' death. The men virtue signal to garner the approval of women and what I refer to as simp behavior, basically tucking their nuts in and not being honest with the women that they encounter, just so they can, score. So they can get a little punani. You feel me? And if I got to tuck my sack in just to get a little punani, then it's just not worth it for me. Because eventually who I am and my perspectives are going to come out if we're around each other for long enough. So we might as well go ahead and get it all on the board. You know what I'm saying? Put it all on the table. But I do, if anybody wants to tap in, I can drop the link and we can all get our points across in a civilized fashion. Another thing surrounding Kevin Samuels' death is what I found out earlier today apparently his mom found out about his death on Twitter. And this was a tweet from Bookfly at Al_B_Dunn. And it says, Beverly Samuels Burke says she learned of her son's death from social media. That was a terrible thing for social media to put that out. I didn't even know. I hadn't even been notified. And all I'm doing is requesting that people pray for us. And this is from, allegedly from Kevin Samuels' mom, Beverly Samuels Birch. Says she learned of her son's death from social media. It's terrible. And there's a bit of an article here I want to share as well. This is from NBC News, where that quote from his mom was pulled from. Kevin Samuels, a YouTuber who became known for his controversial relationship advice, has died, his mother confirmed to NBC News. Rumors of his death first circulated on social media Thursday night. His mother, Beverly Samuels Birch, declined to release details about what happened. She says she learned of her son's death from social media. That was a terrible thing for social media to put that out. I didn't even know. I hadn't even been notified, she said in the phone call on Friday. All I'm doing is requesting that people pray for us. The Atlanta Police Department said officers were called to an apartment on East Paces Ferry Road Northeast on Thursday morning regarding a person injured. And by the time police arrived, first responders were performing CPR on an unresponsive man, later identified as Samuels. A woman in the apartment told officers that Samuels had complained about chest pain and that she attempted to help him, but he fell. The police report states the woman called 911. Samuels was taken to Piedmont Hospital, police said. And the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office said in the press release that it performed an autopsy and a cause and manner of death are pending. The office listed Samuels' age at 53. Well, I heard he was 56, but Samuels, who described himself as an image consultant, shared YouTube videos to his more than 1.4 million subscribers, discussing topics that included dating and relationships. His views, which many people on social media felt were an attack on Black women, often sparked outrage. Last month, he was slammed over a video where he labeled women who are over 35 and unmarried as leftovers. If you've made it to 35 and you're unmarried, you are a leftover woman, he said in the video. You are what is left. Men know that there is something likely wrong with you. He also stirred up controversy over videos where he rated women's appearances based on their looks and dress size. Many said his advice was toxic and misogynistic. Following news of his death, many social media users were quick to point out his contentious views. Kevin Samuels has made a career off of shamelessly disgracing Black women for profit. He emboldened the most toxic individuals to project tired and harmful narratives about Black women. Journalist Ernest Owens wrote, "Dead or alive, what a disgraceful life to live. That's all I've got for that misogynist." What did Kevin Samuels die from? Being 56 and unmarried, musician Gene Doe tweeted, "This guy's got to get some better material." It's weak. Some, including YouTuber Adam22, defended Samuels. Kevin Samuels was a good dude who gave a lot of people solid advice. He got smeared for having a backbone and an opinion, and he didn't back down from the mob. Rest in peace, he wrote. Adam22 is that guy from No Jumper, I believe. That guy's an agent for real. But yeah. Let me go back to Twitter. And it wasn't all bad. You know, there were some people who had kind words to say about Kevin Samuels and admonishment for those who were taking shots at a dead man. That man can't hear you. And the only people that can hear you maybe are those people who are close and near and dear to him. So You know, who are you trying to hurt? Like I say, it's a bit bigger than Kevin. It's the ideas that he disseminated. Because the next person that says the same thing that he said, he's going to get the very same treatment, or she. Go ahead and get a refresh. Terrain Walker. Make sure this tab's being shared. Terrain Walker says, rejoicing at Kevin Samuels' death is like throwing a rock at a mirror because you hate your reflection. Definitely. This brother here says, Kevin Samuels told women to be in decent shape, not have babies with men they wouldn't marry, and to be reasonable when dealing with men, and y'all wish death on that man. And this is one I particularly like. Shanjor at the Velvet Door says they celebrate Kevin Samuels' death, but stood in line to vote for Joe Biden. Makes sense. Love to see the regression. And she followed up, no reparations. Steady losing land, vaccines causing damage to citizens, food shortage on the way. More homeless people than ever before. Hate crimes up 100% against Black people. Indigenous people still misclassified. But yeah, let's celebrate Kevin Samuels' death. Right. She says, here's the correlation for the slow people in the back. You all praise and support a racist mass murderer like Byron, who clearly hates Black people, but yet rejoice when a Black man dies who literally had no effect on your daily lives. Oh my God. And I thought I was the only one who saw it like that. You know? Yeah, he did say modern women, but he was talking about Black women. He was talking about Black women, modern Black women. But yeah, Shanjor, you know, this is where I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? Why do we have all the smoke for Kevin Samuels, a person or a man who has no control over your life whatsoever? He cannot write a policy. He cannot put forth legislation. You know, he can't turn your lights off. He can't turn your water off. He can't fire you. You know, he can't dock your paycheck. There's nothing that this man can do to you. Yet you want to see this man meet his demise. And once he does, which we all will, you want to celebrate as if it's some sort of victory for you. Well, this was some sort of recompense from the universe to the brother for having an opinion that you didn't appreciate, that you didn't like. But if I ask these same women about, you know, how they feel about Joe Biden, and this just happened a few days ago, I sent an article out, not an article, a YouTube video from TD Hip Hop Media, brother Tony DeLerme, and he was speaking about how, you know, Joe Biden is requesting, you know, from Congress more money for Ukraine, and has yet to deliver on any promises of having, you know, the Black communities back that he made after he was installed. And you know, the response I got from one woman was, a Black woman was, you know, she really didn't think Joe Biden was going to do anything for her anyway. So I'm like, then why'd you vote for him? I'm like, have that same energy, when you go back to the ballot box. Oh, I'm not voting. I'm not voting anymore. Now you want to vote the man in, and then when asked about it, and when you see what he's done, which is nothing, which is what you expected, but you voted for him anyway. Now you want to get mad and you want to run away from the ballot box altogether. And I think that's irresponsible, especially when you have children. You know, another young woman expressed anger at me. She was mad at me for bringing it up pretty much, and said she would vote blue no matter who, yada, 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 all the smoke for the Republicans. But I'm like, I get that. You don't like Republicans, so you vote for Democrats. But at what point do you hold them accountable for the inaction on behalf, on getting that vote from you? So, I'm like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. You can't make it make sense because it's pure emotion. It's not logic based. I got to read this one again. Here's the correlation for the slow people in the back. You all praise and support a racist mass murderer like Joe Biden, who clearly hates black people, but yet rejoice when a black man dies who literally had no effect on your daily lives. Make it make sense. And then she retweeted, somebody said, y'all was on here wishing death on the unvaccinated, so I ain't surprised. I said, I forgot about that. There were people out here celebrating when Herman Cain died because he's a Republican. So yeah, I guess this is not so strange after all. And it's particularly, these liberal women, in this case, black women, who are, celebrating the death of a black man who I've heard out of his own mouth professes love and care for black women. And, based his critique on that. Because if I didn't care, why would I even bother to have a critique? Why would I even study you? They called him homosexual. And that's the go-to when a black woman doesn't like you or doesn't like what you have to say or whatever the case may be, and she wants to smear you. The first thing they do is call you gay. Now, I didn't know one way or the other was the man gay, straight, whatever. It didn't really matter to me. His personal idiosyncrasies aside, just didn't matter, to me. It wasn't bigger than the message. The message was paramount. Hold on. No, the message was paramount. Now they are on my page. There's some, the comments on one of my videos have been appalling, and I really wanted to kick this person off the page, but I decided to let the comments stand just so people could see what we're dealing with. Go ahead and share this screen really quickly. tapping in. So we have breaking, trending news. Apparently, the word is getting around that Kevin Samuels, Mr. Average at Best, might have met his demise. I am one to believe that it's probably a hoax, and we should not take these early reports serious. But the interesting thing is when I typed in Kevin Samuels dead in my Twitter search bar, the majority of the tweets that I see were basically rejoicing at the prospect of this man having met his demise. We see Tyler, the Who Man, says, I don't know why people having the opinion, if you glad Kevin Samuels might be dead, then you're weird. Everything I saw about that man was him being misogynistic, fatphobic, and anti-black. And he just constantly perpetuated harmful rhetoric and bigotry to incels. Who cares either way, to be honest? And that was from a video that I posted on yesterday. And I really just wanted to get into that, to get into some of the comments that were made. Janine Batiste says, Kevin had a big mouth and was far from being a coming together as a black person, was too feminine and too complaining about black women's looks, hair, and skin tone to me. Base bon. Moldavite Queen. Now, she's been commenting steadily for over 24 hours now. This was her last comment, I think, within that last hour. She says, Kevin was up to something because the chick story isn't adding up. A nurse wouldn't call 911 to have the front desk bring her a defibrillator. Mr. All the Answers didn't do a good job of choosing a one-night stand. Kevin picked up some chick for the night. Read below, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, people will find anything to nitpick about and to try to make an issue out of. You know, Kevin was a single man with options. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what probably pisses people off the most, is the fact that he was a single man. He had the bag, and he had options, and he was opinionated, and he told other black men that they are worth, you know, more than just settling for whatever, you know, scallywag plops themselves on their lap. He told men to be a little more discerning and a little more picky about who they chose to date and mate. So, you know, I think that's the problem. You know, some of these women just want a free pass all the way around the board. And, you know, Kevin did not advocate for that. You know, Moldavite Queen again. And, you know, she believes in crystals and shit like that. But you want us to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? Kevin had a BM believing 70% of you are childless, which is a lie, but refused to discuss 1/3 of black men have felony convictions. The median income of black men is $45,000 a year. He didn't want to talk about that. And regardless if a black man's making $45,000 a year, $25,000 a year, or $105,000 a year, you know, there's a black woman that's going to want that black man. So, you know, if a man's making $45,000 a year, he's gainfully employed, there's nothing wrong with that. And this is, again, I said, you know, an example of a woman or a black woman. I don't know if she's black, white, or green, as she is the Moldavite Queen, the Green Queen, Emerald Queen. You know, we're unrealistic. What's wrong with a man making $45K a year? You know, nobody gets by on cash anyway. Most people get by on credit. So if you got a job making $45,000 a year, then you could leverage that $45,000 a year for credit, for automobile, down payment on a house. You know what I'm saying? So to say that a man's making $45,000 a year is as a knock on that man, I think that's a shallow-minded individual. You feel me? Not everybody's out here gonna make 6 figures, high 5 figures. Most people gonna make $45,000, $50,000 a year. You know, I think that's most people. That's probably about the average. And I might be being a little too generous. And then she also goes on to say that Kevin was a closeted homosexual who mastered manipulating alleged heterosexual men. Well, if he was a homosexual, I know his final moments was with a woman. And if that picture of that woman is accurate, she was thick and voluptuous, and she was super fine. And 9 out of 10 men would definitely lay down with that woman. So, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Here for a good time, not a long time. And that's what pisses people off too. Pisses you women off. That a brother not here for a long time, he's just here for a good time. I'm sure she said something else. Kevin Samuels and this was, I think, her first comment. Kevin Samuels was nasty and bitter himself. They gave him exactly what he gave them. Now, I'm wondering if the women who actually were on his platform, on the receiving end of his critiques and criticisms, I wonder if they're celebrating. Because I think a lot of them were just happy to be on the platform with over 1 million people watching them. If you got to hop on Kevin Samuels live, it was pretty much a come up. If you're into the social media game, you could definitely leverage an appearance on a huge platform into appearances on other platforms. Because people want to know, what was he like? What did he say? How did you feel? What happened? People want the juicy details. So, a lot of these women went on his platform voluntarily. And, I'm pretty sure that they felt like it was something in it for them. So, end of the day, quid pro quo, no harm, no foul. You wash my back, I wash yours. And somebody said that he wasn't about bringing people together. That couldn't be further from the truth. I'm going to show this. Somebody just put this tweet. Somebody just replied to one of my tweets. I'm going to share this piece from Kevin Samuels again. These people got all the smoke for Kevin. A black man trying to help you get your shit together. And somebody bring up Joe Biden and your lips pucker up. Fuck out of here, man. So he wasn't about bringing black people together.
I need to really say this. I take no particular pride or pleasure in doing shows like this because I know it triggers certain black women. I know they do. I know some of them get pissed. I've heard women on YouTube saying things that they don't watch the show end to end, and I'm not gonna, and that's not gonna change anything because there are far more women and far women who are listening. And who are the recipients? The women who listen end to end and are saying, "Well, you've changed my life. You've helped me look at this way or that way." Those women are benefiting, and guarantee when those women come into contact with men doing something, they all benefit. We're better off working with each other, trying to understand one another. None of us are perfect. Certainly not me. I ain't shit. I got a lot of problems. It's like anybody else. We all got issues. But just like Ice Cube, when the brother step up to do something, support. Find ways to support. Even if you have an issue with something it's doing, can you find 4 or 5 things about it that you like before you start off with the one thing you don't like? Because you cannot keep painting black men in this ain't shit box. They don't all fit there. And brothers are starting to push back and say, no, 51% of us are single and childless and 64% in the middle class. They're here. Can you interact with them just in a peaceful, civil way? If you never get married and never have kids, can you have a higher quality of life? Can you just be happy? Can you stop walking through life with your hands up ready to fight the reflection of you, the opposite sex reflection of you? I don't walk through life looking at black women as though they're my enemy. And I would hope that for the black women who this applies, you stop walking through life assuming that black men are somebody to challenge, is somebody to overcome, to struggle against. We don't need that.
I've never heard Kevin Samuels advocate for black men to date outside the race, to go and chase other, demographics of women. So when I think about a brother like Kevin, and I think about some of these sisters who are part of the divestment group, the divestment movement, who advocate for not dealing with black men on any level, romantically, anyway. And I have to say, where's the smoke for the divested movement? Like, black women get all of the passes. You look at somebody like Kamala Harris. She's married to a white man. You look at the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Ketanji Jackson Brown, whatever. She's married to a white man. Newly appointed White House press secretary, Corinne Jean-Pierre, she's married to a white woman. And they went out of their way to make sure that they let us know that she was LGBTQ. And when they announced that she would be the White House press secretary. She's the first black and openly gay White House press secretary, and she's married to a white woman. And that's the common denominator when I see black women in power. A lot of them, married to white counterparts. And then you hold up somebody like Clarence Thomas, who's married to a white woman, and boy, we have all the smoke for Clarence Thomas, because he's black, he's Republican, he's a man, and he's married to a white woman. Now, if you reverse that, again, you somebody like Kamala Harris, who is so-called black or masquerading as black. I'm not sure if she's Asian one day or Indian the next. So still confusion around how she identifies, but we all know she ain't black. But she's married to a white man. She's a Democrat, and the Democrats have done more harm to us with our support than any than Republicans have done to us, because, like I say, we've signed on to support whatever the Democrats have done, and for whatever crime bill they've enacted, whatever open border policy they've allowed, money to every other group, concessions to every other group, but we're told to wait for our reparations, or it must include other groups. And I don't want to get off track, but I just want to know, because we need to have the smoke for the right individuals. And so far, what I see is we're never going to hit our mark. We're never going to hit our goals. We're never going to get up. Not at all. Hold on one second. Let me refresh. Okay.
Question that kind of answer your questions and prove their value. I feel that you should also put black men on the same type of pressure, because the same thing that you say about women not presenting themselves properly and it's the same way we are saying that Black men are not expressing themselves to us.
All right, my turn. Okay, okay. Ma'am, how old are you again?
I'm 30.
My platform is one. Have Black men been critiqued enough?
I understand that. Yes,
No, I'm asking. Have
yes,
Black men been critiqued?
yes, they've been critiqued.
Okay, right. So are you asking me for a balance?
Not really a balance. Maybe you don't even have to do it enough. I just feel like you're the spokesperson for them. I would like to hear them speak for themselves more, because
They can't.
why can't they?
They've
What,
been speaking, excuse me, they've been speaking in their houses, in their lives, excuse me, don't shake your head. Black men have been speaking for my entire lifetime. Y'all aren't listening. Black men, where do you think I learned all this stuff from? Listening to, listen. They can't. They do, where can Black men speak freely without being shouted down?
well, this is what right?
No, answer my question first, then move on. Where can Black men speak freely without being shouted down?
Well, they can speak to us.
Where?
When we on dates to talk to them instead of upfront about who they,
On dates.
yes, on dates.
Man, you're not even being okay. Let me be more clear.
Mm-hmm.
What platforms or institutions can a Black man speak without being shouted down?
Maybe your platform. You can have them speak
Ma'am,
right now.
this is okay. So I'm supposed to build my business, my platform, and then make it to where, see, I want you to understand, you've already answered the question. There is no place. If they got to come to my platform, that means there's not a place where Black men can go. And that's exactly what I said earlier. They can't. Do you get that?
I get that. That's what it's, because I agree with why I feel that they should be given a chance to.
Given a chance by who?
Because you're just
Given a chance by whom? Me?
well, because, but I'm trying to say why I'm saying that, Kevin. Please try to
No, I'm saying they should be given a chance by whom? Whom?
Well, you're saying there's nowhere for.
No, who should give them a chance is what I'm asking.
We're willing to give a chance right now.
Whom, ma'am? Okay, I'm asking you. I said, where? You said Black men should be able to speak. I said they can't. Then I asked you, where should they go? You said they can do it. Where can they go without being shut down? First thing you said is on a date. That's crazy. Then I said, what businesses or institutions or platforms? You said on yours. Out of the whole global world, you expect all the Black men to converge onto one platform. Do you see the problem with that? But hold on. I want you to listen. Mm-hmm. Where can Black women go to speak their concerns?
I don't think Black women are speaking their concerns.
You don't think Black women have platforms to speak their concerns?
Not really. I feel like right now I'm speaking my concern too, and I feel
Madame Noir, Essence, Ebony, Grapevine, Bossip, On-Site.
That's not.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. You are you serious? Black women's concerns are magnified and amplified. And see, this is the problem. You got one man.
Can anybody argue against that point about Black women's perspectives being magnified at every turn? course not.
With one voice. And I want you to understand that black women are so brittle and so sensitive to where they can't tolerate one place. And then I'm supposed to build this up. Then I'm supposed to say, come on over, millions of black men. Well, how about this? If you want to hear black men's concerns, I'll tell you how we do it. What you do is you go and you work with, petition, and convince black women to give their platforms over to black men. You go tell the black women who command the public square, all right, we've had our say. It's in November is International Men's Month. In all of November, we're gonna just turn our platforms over to black men. See how many black women would let that happen.
I understand all the things that you're saying, and as you can listen to your point of view, but I feel like maybe we're losing the meaning of what both are saying. What I'm trying to say, I'm happy that you're and you are a spokesperson for black men. But all I'm saying, maybe you can do one episode where you question black men, but you question
In their lives.
I put the link in the chat if anybody wants to smash that link and hop on here. They have something to add to the discussion.
To where they can't tolerate one place. And then I'm supposed to build
things that you're saying, and as you can listen to your point of view, but I feel like maybe we're losing the meaning of what both are saying. What I'm trying to say, I'm happy that you're and you are a spokesperson for black men. But all I'm saying, maybe you can do one episode where you question black men, but you question black women. That's
what? Question black man, I did that for 3 years. That's what I did the first 3 years.
And they have proven
That was what I did the first 3 years. Who listened?
maybe I have to.
Who listened? Who
I'm-
listened?
I'm-
The first 3 years I talked to men. Who listened?
I've been with you for a whole year now.
Ma'am, please. I did that for 3 years. Who listened?
I'm willing to listen. That's
I asked you, who listened? Answer that question.
I'm not sure who listened because I wasn't. I didn't there at the time.
Right. How did you get here?
I got here because
Because I started talking to women. And then the world listened.
Okay, I get it now.
I need to really say this. I take no particular pride or pleasure in doing shows like this because I know it triggers certain black women. I know they do. I know some of them get pissed. I've heard women on YouTube saying things that they don't watch the show end to end, and I'm not gonna and that's not gonna change anything because there are far more women and far women who are listening. And who are the recipients? The women who listen end to end and are saying, "Well, you've changed my life. You've helped me look at this way or that way." Those women are benefiting, and guarantee when those women come into contact with men doing something, they all benefit. We're better off working with each other, trying to understand one another. None of us are perfect. Certainly not me. I ain't shit. I got a lot of problems. It's like anybody else. We all got issues. But just like Ice Cube, when the when the brother steps up to do something, support. Find ways to support. Even if you have an issue with something he's doing, can you find 4 or 5 things about it that you like before you start off with the one thing you don't like? Because you cannot keep painting black men in this ain't shit box. They don't all fit there. And brothers are starting to push back and say, no, 51% of us are single and childless and 64% in the middle class. They're here. Can you interact with them just in a peaceful, civil way? If you never get married and never have kids, can you have a higher quality of life? Can you just be happy? Can you stop walking through life with your hands up ready to fight the reflection of you, the opposite sex reflection of you? I don't walk through life looking at black women as though they're my enemy. And I would hope that for the black women who this applies, you stop walking through life assuming that black men are somebody to challenge, somebody to overcome, to struggle against. We don't need that.